Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Salebox for the 25th of November 2012. My name is TotalBiscuit, rounding up your daily Steam deals. Let's have a look and see what we've got. We'll open it up with Dishonored, 50% off. That's $30, €24.99 or £14.99. This game has been on sale pretty much across the internet, and it's interesting that Steam was kind of late on it. I pointed out yesterday that it was available on Green Man Gaming, and you could apply an additional 25% off code. That code is still available, but Dishonored is not. They actually ran out of keys. It's also available on GameStop, Gamefly, Gamersgate, and you can get a boxed copy in the US Amazon cheaper by $5 specifically, $25 as opposed to $30. So bear in mind that this is a Steamworks game. You get the boxed copy if you don't want to play it right now, get it a couple of days later, save $5, and then just put the code into Steam. Done. Easy. So there are a few options. You don't necessarily have to buy it from Steam, and you'll still get it on Steam anyway, regardless of where you purchase it from. What I will say about this game is, it's easily a candidate for one of my games of the year. It's certainly in the top 10. A really fun stealth first-person action game. Great setting, great story, and overall a hell of a lot of fun. A lot of exploration involved and plenty of hidden things to discover. The cheapest price you're going to be seeing, I think, for a little bit of time since this game was relatively successful, so a 50% off on this game so soon after release is a pretty good deal. Worth having a look at. But again, shop around. You may be able to get a cheaper deal in your region, and it will go onto Steam anyway, regardless of where you buy it. Civilization, pretty much all of it, 75% off. Civ 5 will cost you $7.49, €7.49 or £4.99. Alright, so this whole collection here is worth having a look at. You can buy the Game of the Year edition. That comes with Gods and Kings, which is the expansion for the game. This is the cheapest price we've seen the expansion thus far by a very significant margin. So this is the time to grab Gods and Kings, which does improve the game quite significantly. It does add in the religion system once again, which is something that was missing from the original release of Civ 5, but was very popular in Civ 4. In my experience, it also significantly improves the AI, which is something that was definitely lacking in Civ 5. So, Gods and Kings worth having. Aside from that, I'd be looking at the other Civ games as well. Civilization 4 is basically considered one of the best, if not the best, in the entire series. You can pick up Civ 4 for $4.99 or your regional equivalent. The complete edition will cost you $7.49. It's worth grabbing complete simply because it has Beyond the Sword in it, and the one that you don't really want to be looking at is Warlords. It's an expansion that actually serves no practical purpose, because when you do get Beyond the Sword, you get everything that Warlords contained anyway. Civ 4 is considered by most people, I think, to be the best modern civilization. Some will say Civ 2 is better, but Civ 4 is absolutely phenomenal. Civ 5 is pretty good with the Gods and Kings expansion, but on its own, it's really not up to par with the rest of the series. I'd also like to put in a quick recommendation to Colonization, which also happens to come with the complete edition. This is a big bonus for those of you buying Civ 4. Colonization is a separate game entirely. It's based on Civilization 4's mechanics, but it's a remake of Sid Meier's Colonization, which was a very old game about colonizing, or indeed defending the New World. Very cool game indeed, worth having certainly, and the complete edition is only going to set you back about $7.50, so you essentially get a really well expanded Civ 4 and then a separate game in the form of Colonization. A good deal. That's going to sink an awful lot of hours for you, and it's well worth having. Orcs Must Die 2, 75% off, takes it down to $3.74, €3.74 or £2.99. Those of you who held off on purchasing this game because it is an iterative sequel to the original, some might even consider it a mission pack. I don't think that's really fair, but there weren't a significant number of changes outside of co-op, so some people were like, oh, it's not worth the money. I personally think it was, but it's definitely worth it now. This is a really great game. This is an incredibly entertaining game. The co-op mode is absolutely phenomenal. The game has been polished up to a mirror shine. It's got more variety in it, and as far as I'm concerned, it is one of the better attempts at creating a tower defense game where you are on the ground being involved in the action. There are also plenty of hilarious moments with trap combos and things like that, and as far as I'm concerned, they've improved the way that traps unlock throughout the game. Definitely worth having. The DLC is also discounted, so I would grab that. because it's extra content for a very low price indeed. The complete pack will save you money, a couple of dollars versus what you would have purchased with the DLC on its own, and you can also get a 2-pack of this game, which will also save you a little bit of money if you happen to be getting all of the DLC. What doesn't appear to be available is a 2-pack of the game without the DLC, which is a little bit weird, but I can wholeheartedly recommend this one. I had an absolute blast playing it, and I imagine you will as well. Batman Arkham City Game of the Year Edition, 75% off, taking it down to $7.49, €7.49, and £4.99. It's a really solid deal for an incredible game, really. Oh my god, Arkham City is so brilliant. It really is. I prefer it to Arkham Asylum. Some people don't. They genuinely don't, and that confuses me greatly. But I suppose they were after this more directed, story-driven experience. This is more of an open world, glide around the city doing whatever the hell you want, whereas Arkham Asylum really wasn't that. I love Arkham City. I think it's brilliant. I really do. It is a fantastic Batman experience, probably the best one that's ever been made. One way or the other, this is a good cheap price because it comes with all the DLC, and the PC version isn't completely screwed up anymore. When it first came out, it was a goddamn mess for PC. People were losing their save game files, there were performance issues across the board, and I believe that was mostly the responsibility of Games for Windows Live. Be warned, Games for Windows Live is still included in the game. I personally have not had any problems with Arkham City specifically, but it is something that you may wish to consider, and if you've had problems with Games for Windows Live before, then you may wish to avoid purchasing this one, because this game has caused a number of issues for a wide variety of different people. Regardless, getting all the DLC makes this a really great complete pack, a huge amount of value here, and an awesome game across the board. Torchlight 2, 50% off. This is the first discount we've seen for this game. Takes it down to $10, €9.49 or £7.49. This is also one of my candidates for Game of the Year. I think as regards to hack and slash, ARPG, Diablo-style action, Torchlight 2 nails it better than any game that has come since Diablo 2. It is essentially the Diablo 2 of the Torchlight series. Full multiplayer support, full modding support, plenty of content, really enjoyable combat, and a hell of a lot of skill variety makes this a really engrossing title. The storyline sucks. Flat out sucks, and if you're expecting interesting characters, you won't find them. If you're expecting a lot of really cool loot, and I do mean a lot of really cool loot, and exceptionally well-designed dungeons and levels, and great fun, visceral and explosive combat, then Torchlight 2 will provide that for you in spades. This is a good discount. Admittedly, I would expect it to go down further in 2013, not that that's much of a prediction, since we saw Torchlight, the original, be discounted more times than I can remember. That said, a 50% on an already cheap game is pretty fantastic. Additionally, if you have 3 other people that want to chip in, you can get a complete pack where you get 4 copies for the price of 3, so you're essentially getting it for $7.50 each, or your regional equivalent. Considering that the game is very much co-op orientated, I would strongly recommend grabbing that. That's a really, really great deal indeed. Sonic Generations, 75% off, taking it down to $7.49, €7.49, or £4.99. I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's one of the new Sonic games. It's terrible. No, it's actually the best Sonic game we've had since Sonic Adventure 2. It is a phenomenal Sonic game. It is a Sonic game that understands exactly how the series is supposed to work. The classic levels are probably the most enjoyable, but I was surprised in the fact that I actually found the new Sonic levels to be cool too. They've done some really awesome interpretations of a bunch of classic levels, including Green Hill and Chemical Plant, my favorite level of all time in any Sonic game ever. Here's a quick tip if you want to save money and you happen to be in the US, however. You can grab this for the same price on Amazon Digital Download, which is a really cool service. Now, what's going to happen is, if you buy that right now, you will get a $5 promotional credit, which is going to kick in January 2013, which can be spent towards a bunch of Editor's Choice game downloads. So essentially, you save an additional $5 on what's already pretty cheap if you're willing to buy another game on Amazon in January 2013, and it happens to be part of the selection they put on sale. That is something to consider. No question about that. That is a good deal across the board. And even if you don't spend it, you're still getting exactly the same price as you would on Steam anyway. Worth having a look at, folks. Worth considering. Alright, let's take a look at the indies. Once again, bear in mind, this is not necessarily the best price you will see these indie games at. However, I have yet to see many indie games go into the daily deal. Some have this tendency to pop up in flash deals, however. Rule of thumb is 75% off or higher discount means it's not going any lower. If you see something more like 50% off or less than that, then there is the possibility that it might end up being a bit cheaper later on in the sale. That said, we are pretty much running out of time with this sale. It's going to end tomorrow, so it seems fairly likely that most of these games will not be discounted any further than that, although the Christmas sale is coming up, so you may wish to wait unless you're desperate to play any of these games. Let's kick it off, shall we? BitTrip Beat, 60% off. That's $3.99, €3.19, and £2.79. It's essentially what would happen if they mixed Arkanoid with a music game, and the result is fairly satisfying. It's got this interesting retro style to it. Projectiles come from the right side of the screen, and you have to deflect them with your paddle in time to the music. It's not a game I hold particular interest in. I played it a little bit, and it was okay. It wasn't too bad. I can definitely appreciate what they're trying to do with it, but it's certainly not something that really grabbed me to a great degree, and it's not what I would class as a long game either. This is one of those games where I feel you have to have a specific appreciation for what exactly they're trying to go for in the design and the mechanics, and I can see where they're coming from, but I just don't really find it all that fun. It's also available for mobile devices, which I feel is probably a better place to play it, and the chances are you're going to find it a lot cheaper there too. R for the Awesome. Yes, indeed, the sequel to Reckless Disregard for Gravity. That is 33% off. $6.69, €6.69, and £4.68. It's a base jumping game, essentially. You plummet to your doom while trying to do as many cool moves as possible. It's actually a bunch of fun, surprisingly enough. It really, really is. Reckless Disregard for Gravity is basically the same game, although R for the Awesome has additional features and looks a lot better as well. There's a lot of remastered levels from the original, as well as a whole bunch of brand new levels, things like that. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's a great, great fun game. It's a nice adrenaline rush, and it's got a good challenge to it. It's something that I pick up every now and again. I do kind of wish that Reckless Disregard for Gravity was a lot cheaper, though. I've seen Reckless Disregard significantly cheaper than this, and while R for the Awesome is a little newer, I still think perhaps you might want to wait for the Christmas sale on this one. A 33% off discount is not incredible. Adam Zombie Smasher, 50% off, takes it down to $5 at €5 and £2.99. This is a zombie survival strategy game whereby you have to evacuate citizens from a zombie-infested city, a lot of zombie-infested cities, while using the tools that you have at your disposal to keep the zombies at bay. It's one of those situations where the chances are you are going to lose. It's a very difficult game. It's almost like a board game, but the actual battle sequence is played out in real time. You've got to consider which cities you decide to rescue, what tools you have at your disposal to make that happen, and it's got this really fun, Cold War-ish aesthetic to it. Really great effort, actually, by Blendo Games, although, once again, I have seen this cheaper, so perhaps you might want to hold off on it, and it's unfortunate that I have to say that, but at the end of the day, I'm here to recommend sales to you. I'm not going to recommend a sale that I feel is going to be better value a month down the line in the Christmas sale. Home, 66% off. That is $1, €1 or 67 euro cents, depending on which tier you are in, and 67 pence. Home. This is by the guy that brought you Lone Survivor. Lone Survivor is goddamn terrifying. If Home is even close to that, then it may very well be worth your time. For this price, I'm just going to flat out say, give it a shot, because this is pretty unique. You probably think, oh, well, there's no way in a million years a pixel-based game, a two-dimensional game like that can scare me. You have no idea. Yeah, try it, seriously. See how it goes for you. Great price for a really interesting game. Bunch of Heroes, 75% off. Takes it down to $1.24, €1.24 and 99 pence. This is a co-op blastathon, really. It's kind of in the vein of the older Xbox Live arcade games, whereby it was just 4 players blasting away at everything. It's not especially good. It's got an interesting sense of humor to it and a fairly good graphic style, but I didn't really find anything in this game that intrigued me all that much. I did it as my final game in the WTF-a-thon a very long time ago, and even then, I just wasn't really all that into it. The game doesn't offer anything that other games don't do better. It's very much average and par the course, and they try to inflict just a little bit of wackiness on you to make you think that it's a bit more special than it really is. So it's a cheap price, and if you're looking for something really dumb to play with your friends for like half an hour before you get bored, then Bunch of Heroes isn't a bad bet, but it's hardly the best game on the list. Tiny and Big, Grandpa's Leftovers. Yes, that is $5, €5, £3.49. It's an interesting third-person physics-based puzzler which involves slicing off areas of the environment. The environment itself is pretty much fully destructible. You can cut areas off and move them around with a laser beam. It's got a really cool graphic style as well. Apparently, it's not very long, although for half price it might be worth a try. It's one of the more unique puzzle games that came out this year from the indie scene, and it may be worth your time. Gemini Wars, 40% off. That is $12, €12, or £10.79. I don't think I can recommend this one, especially bearing in mind the state it was in on launch. It was a buggy mess. It only had a single-player campaign as well. That's now changed. They have added multiplayer into the game, but it's not the home world you are looking for, unfortunately. I wouldn't really call this a very good discount either, and while it's a bit more polished than it was on launch, it's still not an especially good game in general. Tokitori, 90% off. 50 cents, 44 euro cents, or 34 pence. And this game's actually good as well. It's a classic platform-based puzzler, and it has an adorable protagonist. What else could you possibly want for 49 cents? Yeah, I know, it's just silly, isn't it? There's a ton of content in this game, it's a bunch of fun, and it's worth it. I mean, come on, you can't even buy anything for that price these days. Absolutely worth it. Just pick that one up. And last but by no means least, the Basement Collection. 50% off. That's $2, €2, and £1.49. This bundle is a bunch of prototype games by the creator of Super Meat Boy and the Binding of Isaac. It's kind of ridiculous, and for this price, it's worth having specifically because it's interesting. The whole thing is really, really intriguing. If you've ever played Super Meat Boy or Binding of Isaac, you're going to see a lot of stuff in here that inspired the game and clearly the formative stages of it. A lot of very interesting ideas to try for not much money at all. Alright folks, that wraps it up for today's sale box. Thank you very much for watching. The sale will end tomorrow. As far as I can tell, there's going to be one more set of deals, and do remember, tomorrow is the day to wait for if there are games on sale that you're interested in but haven't actually been deal of the day. Please remember that yesterday's deals are continuing to tick over, so you can grab those if you missed out on something like, say, Deus Ex Human Revolution for ridiculous price. You can check out yesterday's sale box if you want more information. I'll see you next time.